A news alert. Rasmussen's latest presidential tracking poll has Mitt Romney at 46%. That's 1 point ahead of President Obama in November's election. So that's what the traditional polls say. But what are people saying on Twitter? Joining us now is Peter Kazazes. He has developed an app that takes comments on Twitter and he turns them into a poll. Welcome back to the show, Peter.
Thank you, Charles.
Before we start with all of that, did you take Doug up on his job offer?
I did. I have a meeting with him on Friday.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. The Democrats are snatching this guy. All right.
That's great.
You've been doing your polling, and particularly, I guess, some interesting things happened after the Supreme Court decision on Obamacare. First, we'll talk about Obamacare specifically. What are people saying? Do people feel better about it now that it's gotten their stamp of approval?
So after the SCOTUS ruling, it was a split decision. I mean, Twitter was up in arms. It was 50-50. The majority of the opinion, there was a slight majority towards positive feelings about the ruling. That changed over time, and it has come to, there's been a lot more negative discussion about the ruling. And that did have an impact on the presidential numbers. Just before the ruling was in a dead heat, so Romney and Obama were essentially tied. Since then, Romney's pulled up, and he has a 2% lead right now in my polls.
Really? So it's interesting, guys. There was a knee-jerk reaction because, hey, the Supreme Court, maybe it was okay. And then again, it seems like after maybe people delved a little further and started to look at this, unlike the president, Nancy Pelosi, we don't like it the more we learn about it.
Yeah, which is, I assume what happened, people started reading into it, watching it on the news.
Interesting, though, because I think at the end of the day, Justice Roberts did exactly what he was supposed to do. It was actually a very conservative decision he made, and he put it to the people to decide whether or not the law is good or bad. So the system worked.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, it took them a while to understand what Roberts had actually done.
Right.
And I think as that understanding increased, so did approval for the decision.
Did you track him at all? I mean, because people.
No, I didn't foresee his.
I mean, how many lynch mobs? You know, I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah,
no?
People were up in arms, and I didn't foresee how his decision. I didn't foresee the impact his decision would have on the entire thing.
Can you judge the nature of comments, not just the comments and whether they're pro or con about something, let's say the presidential election, but the depths of the feelings and how vitriolic some of this stuff is?
Yeah, so it's not limited to positive, negative, or neutral. It goes a step further, and you get the polarity of the discussion. And the majority of the extreme comments, so either extremely supportive or extremely against, were on the negative end of the spectrum. So the people who are angry are very angry.
Okay, and most of them want this thing. They don't want it. They want it kicked out.
Yep.
Let's talk about your system a little bit. Last time you heard Stuart Varney was talking to you about selling it. I mean, I just think it's amazing. Now, I do see some things. I saw before the last jobs number, there was some sort of Twitter jobs estimate. So it seems like other people are trying to do this as well. Have you protected this, or is it patented? And has your number gone up beyond a couple of million?
It is still at a couple million. I'm working right now, actually working on a subscription-based system, so people can come to me, tell me what they want to track over time, and track it over time, essentially for them as a service.
It's outside of the pop stars, these guys with 1,000, 100 million followers. What are you seeing a more general, better use for this? In other words, topics like Supreme Court, like the economy, things that really have meaning beyond, what some celebrities having for breakfast?
Yeah, so the accuracy of it in relation to the national polls has been pretty much spot on. So that Rasmussen report just came out that said Romney was up by 1 point. I just checked my app right before I walked in here. It's got Romney up by 2 points. So, and also Supreme Court, it was more or less a split decision in terms of the national polls. So in terms of polling, yes, there's definitely some opportunity.
Peter, it's great stuff, man. We're going to keep leaning on you as we get closer to the election.
Thank you.